Good morning. All right, we got the first session underway. Second session's about to start.
Yeah.
Thanks to all those speakers. That was a really inspirational start to the day. I have on the stage with me, let me get the clicker going, 3 fabulous email marketers. They're going to sit here on the couch. We're going to have a little conversation. Before we do that, I want to give them a chance to kind of introduce themselves, talk about what they do briefly, and we'll get going.
Okay. My name is Rob Goetz. I work for a company called SoFi. We're also known as Social Finance Lending. We're based out of San Francisco, and our bread and butter currently is student loan refinancing for a demographic that we call Henrys, which is high earners not rich yet. So people who are graduating, right? We all wish we were those people. Well, I wish I was high earner and rich, but I'll take what I can get, which is neither. But we work with pharmacists, dentists, doctors, lawyers, MBAs, people who have graduated with large amounts of debt, and we work to give them financial freedom and start building the life that they so desperately seek.
Great.
Nita Chaudhry, Atlanta Hawks point guard. I'm joking. My name is Nita. I work on the marketing team at the Atlanta Hawks, and I get to do a fun little thing called email, and I also work on our mobile app, and the Atlanta Hawks are based in Atlanta. I know that's super shocking, but that's all I got. Basketball team, point guard, email,
Wonderful.
Do it all.
Great. Well, I'm not a point guard. Kevin Hickey with IHG, Intercontinental Hotels Group. We are at the center of our digital marketing universe within IHG. Our team manages all of our outbound permission-based marketing. So it includes email as well as mobile and our texting on behalf of all of our hotel brands and our loyalty programs.
So as you can see, we have some all-stars up here, point guards and non-point guards. So what we're going to do today is a little bit different. We're going to unpack a couple of buzzwords that you may or may not have been hearing around the office. We're going to talk about them generally. What do they mean? Then we're going to bring it down to our level, or down over to our level, and help you understand or talk about examples of how these large buzzwords really relate to us as email marketers. So we'll go through digital transformation. We'll spend 45 minutes talking about digital transformation. Then we'll go into Internet of Things. We'll talk about that for maybe 25 minutes. Just kidding. We'll touch on AI slightly because it's the big elephant in the room. And then we'll end with inbox emotion, which is something that I think we don't often talk about too much, but it's really important in our space. So digital transformation, what is it? So here's what Altimeter said. Digital transformation, the realignment of or new investment in technology and business models to more engaged digital customers at every touch point in the customer experience lifecycle. 2 words I want to call out here. Engage, right? So it's all about engagement. And it's every touch point. So it's kind of flipping the paradigm. It's no longer brands talking to customers. It's brands delivering things to customers at the point in time. The customer is all of a sudden at the center. One of the things to think about, I like this definition a little bit better. This is a little bit closer to us as marketers. The thing that I like about this one is it really focuses on, you can't just do digital transformation, you have to do it for a purpose. And the purpose here, I believe, and what the Enterprises Project says is bringing value to the customer, right? So you've got to do it for a reason, and the customer has to be at the center of that reason. Another thing that I really liked about this definition is it talks about digital transformation is not just doing what we normally do. It's challenging the status quo. It's experimenting. And I think the most important word up here is being comfortable with failing. We have to be comfortable, especially as email marketers, as we go through this, to make some bad decisions every now and then and learn from them and iterate. So, what does it mean for us as email marketers? I'll open up to the panel for a second, and let's start with Kevin here. Like, what do you think digital transformation just means for an email marketer without going into your slides coming up?
Yeah, well, I'll start with, how we define it at IHG. Digital transformation is all about scaled delivery of the guest experience to the on-the-go traveler. I'll share a little more later on about our guest journey, but you think about your travel in general, whether you're dreaming about your next vacation or planning and booking your business trip, to staying in our hotels and then sharing that experience afterwards. What it really means from an email standpoint is that target audience doesn't change. It's still the on-the-go traveler. We just have the limited attention span to deal with.
Nita.
I think for us at the Atlanta Hawks, we're a two-person team. Digital transformation is something that we try to incorporate into our everyday emails, whether it is dynamic content, which I'll touch later on, or just staying up to date with the latest trends. I think something that we try and focus on at the Hawks with digital transformation is really just not following what everyone else is doing, thinking outside the box and doing something completely different, which is a given. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, who hasn't done this yet? Like, this is totally for us digital transformation because it has never been done. So that's really like the route we like to take and the mindset that I like to have when I think about digital transformation.
Rob.
So at SoFi, with digital transformation, is we're a digital company. We don't have a brick and mortar, unlike IHG and the Hawks. So really, digital marketing is at the basis of everything that we do, especially the failure part. We look at the right? We look at the opportunity to test and take risks because we are looking to be a disruptor, and so we're doing things that other companies perhaps haven't done, especially in the financial technology sector. And a large portion of that is email. And as we build a multi-channel, with multi-channel touch, we're looking at email. And I was talking with someone last night, they said that or this morning at the breakfast, they said that they were receiving text messages a lot, and I apologized for that and told them I would let them know. But we're constantly trying to figure out where we fit in this digital sphere as we try to push forward, and with that comes a lot of learning.
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned multi-channel, because look up on the slide here, and for all the Brightwave clients in the room, I'm sure they've seen this slide a couple times. Our belief is why it's important for email marketers, digital transformation, is email sits at that hub. It sits at that hub for a lot of different reasons. One, we kind of talked about it a little bit in the first session. The data is super close in email. Another thing that I think, and this is a personal belief, I couldn't find anything that kind of like guarantees this, but I've been in the business for 17 years. We have a foundation and an infrastructure that's already built for digital transformation. We just got to get the data in there to get it going and activate it. The thing I think about is like email's permission-based, right? So it's not like you're creepy. They've signed up. The other thing to think about is a lot of the email service providers, the platforms out there are already ready for it. Relational tables are there. You can dynamically produce a lot of different emails. So digital transformation is really important for us as email marketers, and has actually catapulted us, I think, higher on the list of the CMOs of the world. And they're like, oh, email, that sounds good. So I'm gonna pass it over to Kevin to walk through a couple examples for IHG, but he shared this quote with me, and I think it's something that I want everyone to write down in their notebook, and I want everyone to go back to their office, and I want them to figure out, is like, are we really doing this well? So customers are behaving in real time while most email marketers are still operating in batch. So go back and break that. So Kevin, talk to us about how you kind of unpack that at IHG.
Yeah, and I think we always try and break up our campaign efforts. Is the vast majority of our campaigns are very targeted. There's probably still too many campaigns that do go full file, so that one size fits all approach, and we're really trying to refine that. And there's probably not enough in terms of a ratio with events and behaviors and preferences driving our campaign efforts. I think if you go back to that whole approach, is that if customers are more informed about our brands in general, they control the purchase process, they engage with our brands across all of our channels, and they demand greater relevance, what's more important to us as consumers? A brand that markets to me based on my own events and behaviors, or a brand that decides to send me a campaign based on their marketing calendar? So, it's a good theme that we try and incorporate into everything we do, is how do we be not only contextually relevant, but as real time as possible.
If we go back to this slide here, I think this is a great representation of kind of what Kevin is talking about, moving from the old into the new. So kind of walk us through what you're seeing here.
Yeah, you know, the vast majority of the traditional campaign approach, you know, it can be slow, pretty manual, sometimes generic, and you know, not as personalized as we'd want to be. I'll give you an example. A lot of what we do within the company is to try and support our hotels and our brands to drive demand, putting heads in beds, if you will. So let's say Crowne Plaza has an occupancy shortage in New York, and we need to drive near-term city-level demand to either that property or the market in general. You know, it generally takes about 2 months in order to originate with, you know, the objective overall, develop your content, define the right target audience, and then actually deploy the campaign, do it in a multi-channel way, and analyze the impact of it all. What we're really trying to do is predefine so many of our business rules, so consumer behaviors and their own preferences are driving that. So if I knew New York was one of your favorite cities or destinations, we should know that as a preference, that when a new hotel had an opening or a current hotel had a different rate available, that we could tell you that in a more automated one-to-one way.
So some of the ways that you're trying to go through that digital transformation is kind of, you know, leveraging the mobile capabilities here. You know, find those customer touch points, look for those signals in the data, and trigger that. So this last slide right here is one that I thought was really interesting because it kind of speaks to a little bit of the aspect of like don't necessarily focus on some of those low utility items. Really focus on the things that matter for your business.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, we talk a lot about the guest journey from dreaming and planning and booking to actually staying and sharing. You know, there isn't a week that goes by that the team isn't reminding a lot of our stakeholders that email is mobile too. It's not just about texting or a responsive website or even the app, but you know how we leverage that in a more multi-channel way to drive campaign efforts towards consumer behaviors is a big part of what we do. And again, it's around the stay experience, if you will, how to really communicate with our members before they arrive, while they're on property, and after they check out to help generate return visits and those stays overall. And we think globally and act locally, so there's a lot of context in what we do. You know, I think a good majority of our campaigns, you know, they really fall under 3 types of categories where we're trying to be personally unique, contextually relevant, as well as simple and frictionless in our marketing. When it comes to, you know, the actual guest experience, you know, we take an approach like defining those moments of truth that really matter to a customer. So, you know, in this example, you know, we've all been there, perhaps some of you this morning, you know, on how a lot of these insights develop and help focus our digital transformation. You know, let's say you're in a hotel room and about 5 in the morning, somebody slips a checkout bill under your door. You know, we really try and look at that as a moment and define what's the commercial impact as well as the guest need, and how can we transform that into a more of a digital type of relationship where you can actually check out through the mobile app or click on an email to bypass the checkout desk altogether. And then you're doing it on more of your time, and we know we're driving more convenience and value to the end consumer.
That's great. So part of the interesting challenge with IHG is that, you know, large company created through a lot of acquisitions of multiple brands, multiple data sources. So kind of the traditional aspect of digital transformation where you've got siloed data everywhere. You're trying to figure out how to make your way through the maze and get that data activated. I want Nita to kind of walk us through sort of a little bit of a different digital transformation and talk about what, as an NBA franchise and maybe not the holder of a ton of data on your customers, and kind of how you guys are tackling it to make sure that you're doing real-time relevance to the customer, which is part of digital transformation.
So digital transformation for us, I touched on kind of what it means for us, but every day, you know, we are trying to brainstorm the biggest and baddest ideas. And really for us, we do that by utilizing real-time content. And we do that with Movable Ink. Shameless plug, they said they'd give me some under-the-table cash if I gave them a shout out. So you'll see here on the left side, we have an example of what we call our membership renewal campaign. For those of you who don't know, you should know that the Atlanta Hawks Basketball Club, you are a member, not a season ticket holder. So our members, when we welcome them back to the club, we send them this. This was our renewal campaign for the 2018-2019 season. I mean, as you can see, we're welcoming Sharma back, and she's a big baller on the floor with 2 seats. So she's got the cash. So we want to give her the best email we possibly can. And for us, that means it's personalized. That means all the data on there is correct. And most importantly, of course, we put our fan first. In that we have our service rep photo so they can kind of connect with and make sure they know who their rep is, as well as their phone number and all that good stuff. We're able to update that again in real time if that ever was to change and the member was to go back to the email all through Movable Ink. On that same campaign, we were able to do something that we've never done before, something that is, again, unique and personalized to the member, and that's a personalized URL. So if a member was to click onto the member benefits or the call to action button at the bottom, which I know is kind of hard to see with the small perspective, but if they were to click that, they would have a personalized page that has, all their referral benefits based on kind of like their tenure and like what all is coming in with our new arena, which I'll again touch on more. But that's just kind of one example of what we do. We do treat our members, obviously, because they are kind of a big deal. As you can see, Sharma is on the floor, so we want to treat her right and really just give them the best email possible. So on the right side, also we have another membership campaign. Meet the Team is a huge event that we do. It's literally that. Our members come and meet the team, and it's a super successful event and one that our members look forward to every year, and we kind of upsell that in the package for the renewal. So in this email, it's so you see the countdown clock up top that has all the zeros, and that's kind of just building up the hype for us and something that is new for us as an organization and something that internally everyone kind of buys into. And then, of course, the weather and adding to calendar and all that. But, for us, digital transformation is so important because there are a lot of people who obviously just don't understand email marketing, and there are still people to this day in our organization that probably think we type emails on Outlook or like Gmail or something all day, which is like so sad but so true. At the end of the day, it's like, okay, what are we going to do to really sell like this whole digital transformation thing to ourselves, as well as executives and people who just don't get it. And that's by building our relationship with folks who spend a lot with us, and we want to reward them with personalized URLs and personalized emails to really make them feel special.
Yeah, that's great. So just kind of the big takeaway from there is you don't have to wait for IT implementation of the marketing stack to really start thinking about digital transformation. There are tools at your hands that you can start down that path. Even if you don't have a consolidated source of data or source of truth on your customers, there are a lot of tools out there. So kind of the third situation, as I would call it, with digital transformation are our friends at SoFi, which have a really unique opportunity. They're not the traditional company that's grown over acquisition with multiple brands and probably like 400 different servers with data on them. Or the Atlanta Hawks that maybe have a little bit constrained source of data where they don't have tons. But Rob, at SoFi, let's talk about kind of like the unique experience you guys had.
For sure. So the group that started SoFi was a very tech-minded group, and they knew the importance of data from out the gate. And so the main thing that we wanted to deliver to our consumers, those who applied for personal loans, mortgages, wealth management, student loan refinancing, was to give them an experience that was quick. Because we all know we've applied for loans at perhaps a credit union, and you a lot of the times you don't, maybe days or weeks, but we wanted, especially with student loans and personal loans, we wanted them to know within hours, if not less, whether or not they were going to be approved. And so with that, we've made certain to take these silos that tend to pop up in organizations, and especially here within the last year, we've consolidated what silos there were, we cut them off before they could arise, because people want to move fast. Companies want to move fast. They want to be innovative. And if a group doesn't work as fast as someone else, they want to build their own silo. And so we've worked against that. And we've worked by communicating internally, we've worked to cross-pollinate data easier rather than building these silos to accomplish our proprietary goals.
Yeah. So it's really allowed SoFi to kind of jump ahead of the market and really, provide that secure and efficient platform for users. And kind of the last point that I think Rob and I were talking about as we were kind of prepping for this is it's really allowed SoFi to go to market quicker with less siloed data that can actually partner with a lot of different third parties to really broaden that reach and leverage their tools. So it's again a third different type of digital transformation. So hopefully you've heard about a couple of different situations, and hopefully you can take some of those things back. We'll leave you with a couple of points for email marketers as it relates to digital transformation. The first one is you've really got to focus on the customer. I think that's really the center of digital transformation, whether it's company-wide, marketing, IT, whatever it means. It's all about delivering something to the customer. They've got a little phone in their pocket that's catapulted them ahead of us. And so we've got to play some catch up. Strive for the single view. I know it's really, really hard, but understand your customer from a single view and break down some of those silos that we were talking about, or at least know their device, right? If you don't know the person uniquely, maybe know their device and think about their device as a target. And then you got to aim for real time, or at least near real time data transfer, because our customers are operating in real time. We as consumers are operating in real time. And the worst thing out there is a brand that message you something that you did 3 days ago. It hurts your brand. Anything to add before we move on? Awesome. All right. The next buzzword, IoT, Internet of Things, if you do not know already. So really simply put, broadband has become widely available, therefore super cost effective, and the cost of people connecting to the internet is decreased. We got more devices out there that are Wi-Fi enabled, have sensors on them. Technology costs are going down, and again, smartphones are everywhere. So customers are constantly walking around this planet producing multiple points of data every second. So IoT is out there, and what does it mean for us as email marketers? So we'll just walk through a couple examples just to get your mind frame set around what IoT has to do with email marketers. Then we'll go into some conversation with the panel here. Our friends at Google Nest, it's probably maybe the easiest one to think about. You've got that little Nest and connected to Google Home, and it's producing tons of points of data about your house, what's going on at your home. Security system can be integrated. And you've got this great little email reminder that shows up every month that says, hey, here's the consumption that's going on in your house. Great reminder. Email is the center of that. How many in the room have some sort of active tracker on their wrist right now? Lots of people. So you're producing data constantly. Email is a great way to get you energized about leveraging that jawbone. And then next one here. This is a cool one I got the other day. I beat my walking pace. So I set my personal record for my walking pace, and email told me about that, leveraging the data that I was getting from my fitness app. So pretty cool. So let's talk about IHG and maybe a little bit about how Internet of Things is helping you speed up that campaign process, Kevin.
Yeah, so if you go back to our increased investment into marketing automation and really how that is driving our one-to-one campaign efforts, it is about the data. And you think about our target audience, the on-the-go traveler. When you look at data and how many new data sources are available to us and how we leverage that in real time, years ago we really had our profile data, explicitly what customers told us, what they say and do. As opposed to you added the transactional information, where are they staying, where's their brand preference, what are they interested in. Delving into analytics, you start looking at what we think you might be interested in based on your profile and what other customers like you are doing. And one of the most important ones is really, that session-based data. Like, what are you doing right now? We would always historically use the best indicator for future activity is what you've done in the past. And if I've known that you've traveled to New York or Florida every spring, I'd continue to send that type of a campaign to you. But what if you're on the website right now looking for ski destinations? And I think that's really allowed us to put more context into what we do and drive more campaign at scale.
Very cool. So the Hawks are launching on a remodel of Phillips Arena, and that presents Nita a really cool.
That would be me. So basically, if you haven't heard, that Phillips Arena is going through a transformation, as we call it, and it's going to have a completely new overhaul from the ground up. There's going to be Top Golf Suites, Zach Brown and us have a partnership for a restaurant in there, and the list goes on. But that's really where the Internet of Things plays a massive role for us right now. We want to integrate everything from email to mobile, and even on our digital and with social and everything for that seamless customer journey, and something different from what fans would usually not experience in, say, Atlanta or even another basketball state-of-the-art stadium or arena. So that's kind of where we stand. And for members as well, we want them to have really just the best communication with us. We want them to have super short wait times, whether it's in the bathroom or in concessions or even in-seat ordering. And then, of course, gain kind of a bigger insight on what exactly this whole transformation is about. It's super cool. If you want to, please visit phillipsarena.com/GOAT. That stands for greatest of all time. That is a real thing.
So cool, as you build up the arena, you're able to kind of seed some of those sensors, those Wi-Fi access devices, and really start collecting data about all of this as we experience the Atlanta Hawks. So kind of leave you with a couple of tips as it relates to email and IoT. So really the important thing I would say is you got to figure out what's available, what's possible, right? If your brand's using some IoT technology, what are the data points you can get? And then think about what are those data points can you use to trigger something? Can you use to make a content decision in your email? And then don't get overwhelmed. I mean, I'm producing 50 data points a second while I stand here that Apple's grabbing from me. But don't get overwhelmed. Find those little things that can make difference in the customer experience, that can drive your business forward. Test it, move on, try something else. So just go through it systematically. And don't ask IT for all the data. Just ask them for the things you want. So we're going to move on to one that's a little bit squishy, I would say. Artificial intelligence. This is one that's I think a lot of email marketers are grappling with today. So Google Dictionary. What is artificial intelligence? Oh, we don't have a Google Home here, sorry. The theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision-making, and translation between languages. So the real important thing here, I think, for email marketers is talking about how AI can help you in your decision-making. Sometimes you oftentimes think about what can AI do for me in the inbox, but as we've talked as a team here leading up to this event, really AI is affecting a lot of the pre-send and sort of the connection to other third parties. So we're just kind of talk through this for a second. I'll start with Rob here talking about what AI means to him as an email marketer and some of the opportunities that he's found at SoFi.
Absolutely. So at SoFi, in order to be as fast as we would like to be and to make loan decisions as fast as we would like, when someone applies, they not only are what's called pre-qualified, but they can also be declined relatively quickly. And because of that, because we've built in-house kind of a homegrown AI tool that looks at dozens, almost over 100 to several hundred data points that gives us very good insight to all points of a person's life that then allows for us to make decisions on how we're going to market them as they enter the funnel. So this happens at the top of the funnel. And if they strike us as someone who is a more promising lender, then we're going to market to them perhaps a little bit more strongly. And we're going to obviously present them with those rates that they qualify for in order to drive that type of conversion. So It's really AI has benefited us at the top of the funnel as we recognize where we need to market to them further down the line.
Yeah, yeah. Kevin, we talked a little bit about the content decisioning that goes on and some of the tools that are out there that use AI to serve up the right content to the right person at the right time without a human making a decision.
Yeah, I'm glad you defined it because, quite honestly, we fake it at IHG. It's not Minority Report and the Jetsons, but, it's more of how do we use predictive analytics and machine learning to do a lot of that content decisioning. Honestly, we joke as a team that, we could probably drive engagement and revenue by sending an empty template. That's how well email works for us. But we drove an insight out of that activity that, like a loyalty program, we send a monthly account activity statement. Here's your point balance, your membership level, special offers, program news, and things like that. Now, over 80% of the content actually comes from the template itself, as opposed to the content that we're spending millions on developing and serving up to consumers. Great intent behind who should get what message, but through some analytics and scoring, we're now allowed to take a menu of content and then serve it up automatically to drive more of a one-to-one behavior.
Yeah. And it's really interesting. There's a lot of tools out there that are leveraging AI. Our friends at Adobe and Sensei is a great, powerful tool, leveraging content in the inbox. There are a lot of third parties out there that are bringing things to market that I think the email marketer is going to have at their hands. So, what do I want you to take away from the topic of artificial intelligence? Well, the first thing I'd say is, you've got to understand the difference between AI and machine learning. I think that there's oftentimes get very confused. Business rules are needed for relevant emails. Machine learning can help you cull through tons and tons of data quickly in order to deliver something based upon the business rule that you decide. But really the difference between machine learning and AI is the computer that programs the decisioning for you that says, I want someone to book a room in New York. Go, right? And then they start producing campaigns. They start programming their own systems, their own campaigns to achieve that result. So AI can eliminate the need for human programming. AI also tests really fast, optimizes really fast, much faster than we can. So just be careful as you kind of go through the world, go back to the office and start talking about AI, machine learning. It can get really, really confusing. So those are my tips for you. So we got a couple of minutes left. This is the fun topic. So we're gonna fly through this and really talk about inbox emotion. What does that mean? In the absence of digital transformation, you don't have a ton of data. They're not all siloed. You don't know about your customer too much. What can you do? Well, you can make them love you. So this quote from Brent Rosengren. I've been in the business for 17 years. I think I can get a quote on the screen. Emotions, inbox emotions, the emotions generated when a customer gets an email, opens it, and reads it, right? So why is that important these days? Obviously, it's an email marketing thing. So I like these two stats that came out from an Adobe Campaign research study. I believe it was last year. 40% of customers say they want email content to be less promotional, more informative. Great. So how are you going to be more informative? You've got to know what to tell them, right? You can't, customers aren't exactly telling you what they want to hear. You got to know it. The other thing is, I like this one. 34% of customers report frustration. That's the most emotional thing that you can have. A customer is frustrated with you when the email doesn't match their interests. So how do you do that, right? So how do you be less promotional? How do you be more emotional, right? So here are a couple of examples to kind of get your thought starters. Panera. So instead of necessarily focusing on selling the product, they're focusing on the idea of clean eating. Food should be this. You should feel really happy about going and eating this food. One of my favorite email programs, Patagonia. You look at this picture and you're really all inspired to go out there and chop wood. I guarantee you though that 50%, maybe even more of the people that buy those pants aren't going out there and doing lumberjack activities. But it's that emotion of like, I want to walk around and feel like a lumberjack. Chick-fil-A, our friends at Chick-fil-A, how do you care for someone more personally? Well, you insert yourself into their lives and make their lives a little bit helpful. So this is not all about just buying a nugget tray. I mean, it is, buy a nugget tray. But it's about telling them how they can deck out the dining room for their holiday party, and nuggets are part of it. One of my favorite ones is this from Fitbit that I got from Really Good Emails. If you've ever been to reallygoodemails.com, go. It's a great source of email creative. They have made a shipping confirmation email emotional. Get excited, your Fitbit's on the way. I think it's phenomenal. So in the remaining time we have here, we're going to run through a couple of samples of Atlanta Hawks and SoFi examples. So Nita.
Yeah, so for us at the Atlanta Hawks, anyone who's from Atlanta or is familiar with Atlanta knows it is a very interesting market and that lots of folks here are transplants. At the Hawks, it's interesting because, you know, they've had good seasons, they've had bad seasons, but never had like a LeBron James or a Kobe or whatnot. So that said, we have a lot of examples where we utilize other teams' players and kind of create that inbox emotion. So when we segment, say, you know, we're playing the Sixers, we bring in, you know, another player from the Sixers onto our creative piece. Same thing goes with text or, you know, a rotating GIF like so. And I think it really drives people to say, oh, you know, I may not be a Hawks fan, but at the end of the day, you know, like you said, you need, you know, heads in beds, we need butts in seats, and that's what's going to make it happen, whether you're there to root for the Hawks or the Rockets, you know. So, yeah, and this example, too, really just creates that FOMO type of thing with the countdown. There's a lot of usage for countdown clocks, I think, these days in email. And then, of course, kind of the images that show you what our Select a Seat events are like. And really, if you're not familiar with Select a Seat, it's where you come out to see where you're going to sit for to be a season ticket holder. So, yeah.
And last but not least, SoFi. Let's talk about finance, loads, mortgages, debt.
So this is really where we strive to shine here, is because these people are coming out of college, they don't know how to approach life, and being an adult is really hard. And so if you're looking at...
True story.
Right? So you're looking to get with a bank that's going to charge you fees and that's going to call you when you owe them debt and isn't seen as an advocate, then that's something that's pretty daunting. You talk to a doctor and they say, oh, I don't even want to think about my student loans. And you say, no, we're here for you. Come to our event. We love having mixers. We love giving career advice for you to get a raise. We're very up on making sure that there's equal opportunity and employment for everyone. And so we do wealth advising. We say, we're going to make sure that you're financially independent and secure and you're happy with, you're going to get the dog and maybe the kid and the house and the picket fence. We're going to make sure that you can accomplish your goals sooner than you want so you can live the life you want and achieve financial greatness as a result. And this was a good example from, there was an Australian billionaire who said that kids these days don't buy mortgages because they're too preoccupied with avocado toast. And so we said, you know what?
True story.
Forget that guy. Get a mortgage with us. We'll give you a free month of avocado toast so you can have both. And it really resonated. That's something that we wanted to convey to people, especially through email, is that, you know, we're here for you.
Great. Well, I'll leave you with these last points. Inbox emotion, think customer first. Outside of inbox emotion, think customer first, business second. Leverage customer data at the individual level, the persona level, and make it mobile friendly. Use great photography, relevance rules. People want to know that you care about them and that you're interested in not only just selling them something, but giving them an emotional connection to it. So that's all we've got. We're going to cut the QA. If you want to ask any more questions about AI, digital transformation, IoT, Kevin Hickey will be around. The three of us will be at the bar. Thanks, guys.
Great job. Thanks.
Nice job.